it was time for me to run and figure out what cash flow was. I was like, holy crap, I owe my vendors, my customers aren't paying me. Dad, what do I do? I was doing $1 million months, and it was a very big cash flow heavy business when I started scaling.
What are the obstacles like along the way? Like when you're building this apparel company that turned into because you did more than just clothing at the end, right? You had other products that you were selling to pet markets.
Yeah, there's 300,000 promotional products when you're in the ASI industry. It's a big industry.
So what things did you overcome along that? Because I got to imagine, because you're doing it on your own.
Sure.
I didn't give you money.
Yeah,
and so you had to figure this out on your own. So
yeah, I want to say that my dad did give me a little bit of money. He gave me $50 to go buy business cards at Kinko's.
Okay.
Yeah. So I paid him back.
Okay.
Did you pay him more than $50 back or just the 50?
When it was time for me to run and figure out what cash flow was, I was like, holy crap, I owe my vendors, my customers aren't paying me. Dad, what do I do? I was 21, 22 years old because at the end of the college, that making money in college was no problem because I didn't give them the product until they gave me the check, right? And I didn't have to pay my vendor until the product was done, right? But it was no net 30 terms. I didn't even know what net terms was. It was like, listen, if you don't have the check at pickup, you can't give them the product and it's our property, right? So I'm like, all right. So it was never a accounts receivable game in college. However, after college, when I actually really took this on, right, and I'm no longer a college student, and this is a real thing that I'm taking seriously as a career, I started realizing that these companies, they don't want to pay you when you deliver the product. They have this thing called net 30 terms and credit applications. And I didn't even really know what credit was. That was another thing that my dad and I spoke about and laugh about today, is I couldn't even buy a laptop on credit at Best Buy when I graduated college. I had been making all this money in college, paying for everything in cash and checkbooks, and I didn't even have a credit card. Not one, because I didn't take a student loan. I didn't know what credit was. I didn't know what debt was. It was always like, I'm not buying it unless I have the cash, right? So I didn't even have enough credit to get a laptop. So when it was time to open up real vendor accounts, I had to ask my dad, hey, how does this credit thing work? And why didn't you teach me about credit? I was like, Dad, you've done an amazing job raising 4 kids. My parents are married 51 years today. Bless their heart.
Today?
74. June 30th was their anniversary. I just got back from visiting my mom and dad in Washington last week. It was just so funny because my mom and dad did such an amazing job raising us, but they never taught us about credit. And so I go back to, what can I teach my daughter? What can I do differently that my parents didn't do? And that was get a house, get a 15-year note on it, have that be something that they can, be financially free the rest of their life off of, but I can, monetarily gain in, during those adolescent years all the way through 18. It really wasn't a lot of work to burr on a house and give it to her. And then additionally, how to establish credit. So we haven't started just yet. I know that you can start at that young age. But either way, credit was important. So I had to use my dad's credit cards in order to pay my vendors because I didn't have enough thing. And so my dad and I made an agreement that the 1% cash back on the credit card would go to him. And so you asked, did you pay him back anything more than the $50 for the Kinko's? My dad made easily over 6 figures getting that 1% cash back because it took me so long to establish credit. My cards were only $5K and my dad had a $100K balance card. So I just always used his Amex and his Capital One Spark and all his cards because it was just easier. And so I felt like, all right, my dad's making money. So my dad was collecting $3-4 grand a month just by me running up $300-400K a month in vendor bills. So I was doing $1 million months, and it was a very big cash flow heavy business when I started scaling.